In what could be described as one of the most defining moments in South Africa's modern political journey, the recent announcement made by former President Jacob Zuma and prominent MK party figure Mjiliji about the formation of a new faction, uMkhonto weSizwe Gwaza-Mkhonto, has set in motion a wave of speculation, hope, concern, and analysis across the country. This development has arrived at a time when the nation is grappling with enormous political shifts, widespread public dissatisfaction with current leadership structures, and an ever-growing demand for a political home that can restore trust and accountability. The declaration made in Johannesburg, surrounded by political veterans, ex-combatants, and high-profile supporters, did more than just introduce a name. It rekindled the memory of a liberation movement that once unified millions under a shared banner of resistance, pride, and purpose. The uMkhonto weSizwe name itself, deeply rooted in the liberation struggle, carries a certain gravity. Historically, it was the armed wing of the African National Congress, formed in 1961 with the intent to combat the brutal system of apartheid through acts of sabotage and armed resistance. Its creation marked a turning point where diplomacy had failed, and militant action became, in the eyes of many, the only viable route to freedom. Jacob Zuma himself was a part of that struggle, serving time on Robben Island and later rising through the ranks of the ANC and MK structures. To now hear Zuma reclaim that heritage in a bold and public way suggests not just a political maneuver, but an emotional and strategic appeal to the past, aiming to reshape the future. As South Africans try to make sense of what this new Gwaza-Mkhonto faction represents, many questions arise. Is this simply a symbolic revival of old names and ideas, or does it mark the beginning of a formidable political force with the power to alter electoral outcomes? Zuma's message during the announcement hinted at deeper intentions. He called for a return to core MK values, freedom, justice, sovereignty, and national pride, while also acknowledging the glaring problems currently facing the country: high unemployment, corruption, and a disconnection between citizens and the government. Mjiliji's emphasis that this was not a grab for power but rather a movement for the people added emotional weight and reinforced the message that this initiative was rooted in service rather than self-interest. What makes this moment even more complex is the backdrop against which it unfolds. The African National Congress, once the unshakable giant of South African politics, is facing its most uncertain future since the dawn of democracy. Internal divisions, corruption scandals, poor governance in several provinces, and the rise of alternative movements such as the Economic Freedom Fighters and now the MK Party have created an atmosphere of volatility. The electorate is growing restless. Many, especially younger citizens and those in marginalized communities, feel betrayed by the promises of 1994. Into this environment steps Gwaza-Mkhonto, not as an entirely new entity, but as a reinvention of a familiar legacy. The decision to brand the faction under a new name, distinct yet connected to the original MK, is not accidental. Gwaza-Mkhonto evokes a sharper, more aggressive tone, almost as if it's declaring readiness for battle, not with weapons, but with ideas, policies, and public support. It's a name that aims to stir deep emotional connections while also signaling a new era. But such a move is not without risks. Political analysts warn that invoking the name of uMkhonto weSizwe, especially when linked to internal splits, could backfire if the public begins to see it as a tool for factionalism rather than unity. This formation has also led to deep debates about the authenticity and legality of using the MK name outside its ANC roots. Some believe it's a reclamation of heritage, while others argue it could dilute the legacy of the original movement. Already, there have been legal challenges and debates over the rightful ownership of the uMkhonto weSizwe identity. Yet, Jacob Zuma's involvement adds an undeniable layer of influence. His ability to mobilize support, especially in KwaZulu-Natal, remains significant. Despite his controversial presidential legacy, he still commands respect among many who view him as a victim of political betrayal rather than a failed leader. The support for Gwaza-Mkhonto is also tied to larger dissatisfaction with the current political order. Many South Africans are looking for alternatives, for leadership that resonates with their daily struggles and longings. By positioning itself as a movement rather than a traditional political party, Gwaza-Mkhonto taps into that sentiment. Its focus on grassroots organizing, connection with former combatants, and emphasis on national values creates a sense of identity for those who feel alienated by elite-driven politics. Whether this will translate into electoral success remains to be seen, but it is clear that the intention is not just symbolic, it's strategic. Reactions from other political groups have ranged from cautious acknowledgement to sharp criticism. Some see it as a destabilizing force that could further fragment opposition politics. Others quietly admit that the movement's message has resonance, particularly in rural areas and among older voters who still hold the liberation struggle in high regard. The ANC, for its part, is walking a tightrope. Publicly dismissing the faction could alienate sympathizers, but engaging with it too directly could legitimize it. It's a delicate balancing act with high stakes. Looking ahead, Gwaza-Mkhonto faces enormous challenges. It must build credible leadership structures, articulate clear policy positions, and demonstrate that it can be more than a nostalgia-driven initiative. The political landscape is no longer forgiving of slogans without substance. South Africans are demanding results, integrity, and visionary governance. For this new faction to thrive, it must prove that it can deliver on the promises that so many others have failed to fulfill. There is also the possibility that this movement could inspire broader reflection within the ANC and other opposition parties. The resurgence of liberation-era rhetoric and symbolism may force others to revisit their own identities and reconnect with their founding principles. Whether that leads to healthier competition or deeper division is yet to be seen. What's undeniable is that the formation of uMkhonto weSizwe Gwaza-Mkhonto marks a turning point. It reminds South Africans of their history, while also asking difficult questions about their present. Will it reignite the spirit of unity and action, or will it deepen the already visible cracks in the country's political fabric? Only time will tell. Before we wrap up, let us know what you think about this major political development. Do you believe the new faction under Jacob Zuma and Mkhonto will bring real change, or is it just another distraction in a crowded political arena? Could Gwaza-Mkhonto be the key to reclaiming South Africa's liberation ideals, or will it struggle to find traction beyond its symbolic power? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth political updates, exclusive interviews, and critical analysis of the events shaping South Africa. Your voice matters. Join the conversation today.